Hello everyone, this is Tim with Paintball Tek, doing a short rebuild video for you guys today. A stock 2K series wargame Sledgehammer LPR. So, we're going to go through and rebuild this thing and replace all the seals inside. So the first thing you're going to have to do is remove the back piece here that screws into the front block and the front cap. Front cap should unscrew. I have an O-ring on the front here. This one can come off. The rear cap can be removed with a 9/16 wrench, or a crescent wrench if you don't have a 9/16 handy. Inside, and you'll find an O-ring on this piece as well, which can come off. Inside you will find an adjuster screw. This is the screw that controls the pressure inside your regulator. From the factory, I found that these are normally about 8 turns in from being flush with the end of the LPR body. So when you put it all back together, start with your screw flush and then do 8 full turns in, and that's roughly about between 70 and 80 psi, I want to say. If not, you can always take it off and adjust accordingly. So this is the adjuster screw. This is also the rake seat housing. The rake seats are a polyurethane disc, which can be replaced. You can dig these out with a pick if need be. The discs can be purchased from paintballgateway.com if you need one. This one is in decent shape, not too worn, so I'm going to leave that one alone. Inside the rest of the housing, if you turn this over, should come out a spring. And then inside there will also be a brass top hat and another O-ring, but to get those out you're going to have to remove the spring and piston from the other side of the reg. Easiest way to do this is usually just whack it on the table. The spring and piston will come out. You can pull this O-ring off. And then from the other side will come out the brass top hat. And usually the O-ring you're going to have to fish out with a pick or something similar. So that is the order of everything in this LPR. Now we're going to wipe off any excess grease on the outside, and then if you want to, you can use a rag and clean up any oil and grease inside the LPR housing. Just kind of shove it in, wipe it around. And then we're going to start replacing seals. So, the one on the front cap should be a number 16. That can be replaced easily. Slip it over the top. Set that aside. That one can go away. This one for your main piston. And we're going to wipe the old oil grease off. Should be a 112 O-ring. Go ahead and replace that. This one can go away. The one on the rear cap is a 110. This one could go away. The seat is fine, so we're going to leave that one alone. Otherwise, you can dig it out and replace it with a new seat. And then this is the last O-ring that you're going to replace. This is a number 8. You can always check because it's going to fit on the end of this piston. It should slide over easily and be snug, but you shouldn't have to like stretch it over too much. See? Okay. When doing reassembly, there is a groove in the bottom of the back side of this LPR that this O-ring just falls into place, so you can drop it in and use a pick or a punch or a screwdriver, whatever you got handy to kind of set it in place, and put a couple drops of oil in there. With this handy dandy dripper bottle, it makes things a lot easier, but any standard oil dripper bottle will work just to get oil down it. Now, this top hat does go in one way. It goes in, if the LPR is facing this way, the top hat goes in facing up, so the top of the top hat is upwards. So if it goes the other way in, it won't allow the O-ring to seal. The easiest way I've found to do is just to get a long pick or a stick or an Allen key or something like that. Put this on your object and let it fall down in so that you know that it's down there in the proper orientation. Spring goes in on top of that, just falls in place. And then your adjuster cap goes in. Like I said, about 8 turns is usually where it wants to land, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now you can check by looking in the other side to make sure the O-ring is seated properly. Make sure you can't see it through the hole in the bottom. I like to put a little bit of oil on the housing. Make sure that when you put the piston in, it's got a nice smooth wall to slide against. Drop your spring in, main piston mainspring. Then a little grease on your piston O-ring. This is silicone grease, however Dow 33 will work. This happens to be Dow 7, which is a very light silicone grease. And a little bit of oil. You can also put some oil or grease on the bottom of the piston here, because that's the part, like you remember, is going to seal in the bottom against that small number 8 O-ring. And then, like the top hat, to put this in, I like to put it on the end of a rod. Just kind of push it down and seat it into the bottom of the LPR housing there. Then you can take the back cap and reinstall that. I usually like to put a little bit of oil on it. Just keep the ring moist. Just has to be hand tight, because if you ever have to adjust this, remember you're going to have to take this body off to get to the screw. And then you're going to want to put some oil on this O-ring here, the number 16 on the front cap. And that just screws on the front and tightens on like that. Wipe any excess oil or grease off the outside, and you should have a completely rebuilt LPR ready to use. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.